I'm here. Can you hear me? So here we are, chat. In my new apartment. Should I do like a real quick video tour for you guys? Let me, there we go. Let's do a quick video tour. Need to tour your new place. There you go, exactly. This isn't the whole place, but it's most of it. So here's the front door. That little seat. Honestly, it's what sold me when I first saw this apartment, because I was like, it's a nice place to read a book in the morning with a cup of coffee, you know? That's the front door. That box is my new computer chair. I haven't set it up yet. Right now I'm just sitting on a dining room seat, but that'll be set up for tomorrow. Just some stuff lying around. I still got some stuff that I need to move around. And then why can't I do this properly? Let me see if I can turn some lights on. There we go. Living room, kitchen, backyard access to not much of a backyard, to be honest. It's a 4-story house, and each floor is an apartment. There's a family above me, a principal above me, and a UBC professor. So just all adults living in this house. But nice comfy couch, got the TV right there. I decided to put the computer right next to it so I can hook up the HDMI. I wanna watch fights or illegal movies or whatever. Nice little island there. And then that's my bedroom. It's still full of crap. You can't see the bed, it's on the right of the opening. And those are some boobies on a canvas. And there's actually, let's see if we can go. Oh. Hopefully I showed that properly, but that's a hallway with a second bedroom. And I haven't decided which bedroom I want to pick yet. The first bedroom I showed you has the least comfortable bed, but it's more wide open. There's more like air. And to be quite honest, the other bedroom down the hall kind of creeps me out. Just because I'm not used to living in a basement suite, and like I live in a neighborhood that's pretty busy. So I'm like, oh, I'm nervous. I'm a little paranoid about like someone breaking into my house or something. But it's nice. It's super cozy. I really, really like it. A couple of hippies live here. I'm subletting the apartment for 6 months. 6-month sublease. The landlords are really cool. Just a couple of old people. They bought this house. The people who own this place bought this house 35 years ago. So yeah, this is where I'm living for now for the next 6 months. And I finally feel like I can really focus, because this has been my last 8 weeks. Okay, so we had my original place that I was in for 2 years, right? Let's call it Steve's house. I moved to my parents' Airbnb for 6 weeks while I look for a place. For a week, I go and house sit for my friends Jason and Allie while they're on vacation, look after their animals, and then I move here. So in an 8-week time span, I lived in 4 different places. It's a lot. It's a lot. I feel exhausted. I feel distracted. I felt unfocused. And I still managed to have the best month of my career, which is kind of funny, kind of ironic. Not the best month of my career. The best month of my career over the last 3 years. It's been the best. So like, kind of funny how just, you never know. The way poker works, you really never know. But now I can focus. Nobody to interrupt me. No parents, no landlords, no roommates, no dogs. Nothing. Just me and whatever the fuck I want to do for the next 6 months. I can work as much as I want, play as much as I want, and just really get honed in. So that chapter of the conversation is done. New place. This is the background you're going to be seeing for the next, 6 months. I might move it somewhere else in the apartment, but I kind of like it here. I like this section here. Let's talk about October. So October was pretty unreal. My gross profit was, I looked, and I haven't had this kind of a profit since February of 2020. And even that profit wasn't my own. It was just action I had bought in 2 of my friends. I had one friend who won 100K, and I had, I want to say I had 20%. And then I had a friend who, I think Patrick, I had 5% of him, and he finished like second in a WPT or something. And so that was another, I want to say 10K. So even that wasn't really like a profitable month in my poker sense. I think from like, if we're just gonna talk completely gross profit, my profit, my poker success, I don't think I've had a month this good since that 100K score in November or December of 2019. So it's basically been 3 years since I've had a month this good. And that's good. I think that's like really good progress. Obviously, like we ran significantly above expectation, but I think it's a pretty good reflection of like my ability to improve. You know, 5 or 4 of the last 5 months have been profitable, and I haven't experienced that in probably 3 years as well. And you know, the other profitable months that I've had since we started this challenge weren't like insanely profitable months. It was like 3 or 4K, and that's a good reflection of like the games that I was playing, you know. And then it just so happened that in October I went even that much farther above expectation with good game selection, patience, you know, developing a better and better and better understanding of exploiting the fields. So that's really good. And I think I want to show you guys, we've done this before in previous monthly reviews, but I'm going to show the prime dope graph that shows like if we're operating at this type of an ROI, what do we expect to see on the bottom end and the high end? And we're kind of in that high end margin, where it's just like, okay, this is expectation, above expectation, but expectation all the same. So the month was pretty unreal. My first day of October was when I finished second in a 3,300K on ACR. Or no, third, I think it was. Top 3. Pretty amazing considering we were coming off of a minus $1,500 month in September. Just off the bat, have a nice bink is good. Some small winning days after that, lose a tiny bit. And then I had made day 2 in a 3375K on party poker, and we binked it. Went on a nice good little sun run there. All my big scores are on my YouTube channel, so if you guys haven't seen them yet, definitely go check out my YouTube and you can watch those scores. And for anybody who's watching in the YouTube recording, there'll be links down below, or just check my channel out and you'll see all these scores if you want to see what happened. This is a fun one. There was one particular hand that I remember, ace 10, where I 3-bet hijack versus middle position, and then the cutoff cold 4-bet shoved for 25 big blinds, and I had ace 10 and I tanked, or it might have been 20 big blinds because it makes more sense why I called. But I tanked not because I think that I'm ahead of his range. I know I'm behind. This is obvious. My point was that he had the biggest bounty left at the table, and if I win, I have a huge stack, and the future game EV, in my opinion, at the time, was like massive, absolutely massive, because then I'm able to bully around the table. I'm allowed to like collect more bounties, and so I went for it. I found the call, given that I was given 2-to-1 plus the bounties from a chip EV perspective. Obviously from an ICM EV perspective, it's a total disaster, and I knew that, but I decided to take the gamble for the bounty and for the future game. And I ran into queens and I hit runner flush. And yeah, kind of the rest was history. I just went on a sun run all the way to binking the damn thing, and the YouTube community was not happy. Oh, they flamed me hard. They flamed me super hard. In hindsight, I don't mind. It's a whatever call. I think folding is probably the better option. But it is nice to take that gamble in a big field PKO where it's like so top heavy and you want to be collecting bounties and that kind of thing. You know, whatever. I don't care too much. It's whatever. I'm over it already. I did run it on HRC, and my call was obviously not good. But his shove was awful. Like, you're supposed to fold queens there. It's like a huge losing play. And the guy who had the queens came into my YouTube chat and told me how bad my call was. And I was like, I didn't say anything, but I'm like, are you sure your shove was okay? And then and then after that I adjusted to see like, okay, if he's shoving queens, he's probably shoving jacks, he's probably shoving ace king off, even though he's not supposed to. He's probably shoving ace queen suited, even though he's not supposed to. And it's still a losing play, but only like so ever so slightly. So it's like whatever, bordering on marginal in a PKO. I'll take marginal. I don't care. I'm down for the gamble. So we kind of were both wrong, you know. Anyway, so yeah, and then that next week, look at that. We just like winning. A couple really awful days. This was a Sunday, and then on the last week of October, somebody in my Coaching for Profit group was like, hey, there's a free roll being hosted by some Minecraft streamers, sponsored by ACR. You should go play it. And I was like, okay, sweet. And they're like, it's 100K guaranteed prize pool. I was like, Jesus, okay, definitely will. And it was a hyper. And we went on a nice little sun run there. By the time there's about 18 people left, for whatever reason, they stopped the blind jumps. So it stayed at big blind 600K from 18 people all the way down to the winner. And that took about 6 hours from 18 onwards. The final table took about 5. So that means actually it was probably more like 7 or 8 hours for that entire thing. So I remember the final 2 tables, that final table bubble was a while. So yeah, it was a long one. And I just like, man, I 3-bet and 4-bet and check raise bluffed and triple barreled and double barrel bluffed and just did all kinds of sick shit. Just really abused the table because I knew it was mostly recreationals left. And having a big stack, I think, was going to be huge there. And I did. I went to a final table with like 180 big blinds, which I've never experienced before at a final table. And managed to bluff my way basically to a second place finish, followed by a small suck out when we were 3-handed. And when we were heads up, I took a deal. Once again, that's also in the YouTube channel. If you guys missed out on that huge score, but I took a deal for I think 81 or 8,200 bucks with another streamer by the name of S and the YouTube community was really mad at me for taking that deal, and I'm like, I'm not playing a heads up match versus another reg when we're both 150 big blinds deep, and you know, basically like $1,200 in EV on the line. I'm just not doing that. Especially after I've been, you know, by that point I've been playing for 14 hours. It was one of my longest sessions of the year. Definitely the longest final table of my career. So like my mental capabilities aren't really there. So, yeah, there's just no way. You could barely speak at that point. Yeah, I looked at I watched the YouTube video and I was like, oh man, I almost every sentence I said was wrong. I mixed up one word with the other. Like, I was way more out of it than I thought I was at the time. So the deal was good. It was fine. It was an ICM deal. If I was playing against a fish, if I was playing against like a really bad player, I don't know how good S2P is, but I know he plays for a living. So that in and of itself for me is enough to know that like it's going to be a tough battle. Then maybe I might not take the deal. But you know, at that point, I think the deal was the responsible thing to do. So 3 big scores followed by, you know, oh yeah, we had day 2. We finished 10th in the 5,500K on Party Poker as well for a nice 4-figure day there. So like not just the big scores, those obviously were the big catalysts, but we had nice little scores sprinkled across the month. And the month with a little bit of red is what it is. So 23.5K total. Bought a little bit of action off Alex. He buys action off me. I made him a nice 2,300 bucks. Alex is one of my best friends, for those of you guys who don't know. So we capped off the month with a $22,000 profitable month. Pretty fantastic. Like I said, best month I've had since probably December of 2019. So now we're into November. Just want to go through a little notepad here. So we'll look at the greater picture of October to now. Pretty amazing. It's been a while since I've seen a shark scope like this over a month-long period. We played, despite the fact that you know, I was pretty busy, I still managed to put in 600 games. That's pretty nice. You know, I think we've been averaging about 800 games a month, so definitely took a dip because I had to take a lot of time off to move and to look for apartments, and I think I had to do some like dog sitting for my parents and all that kind of stuff. But Yeah, pretty nice. Pretty nice looking graph. It makes like the little tiny upswings not look extra tiny when you have such big scores in between them, right? 5K, 8,700, 8,300. We want a satellite into the Venom. This big dip is because what happened is, right, so we get into the Venom and then we brick the Venom. And then I lose a little bit more on top of that on a Sunday at the end of the month, so that's why that big dip happened. But ROI 450%, kind of ridiculous, but pretty silly. It's crazy how a big score can really skew your results, you know. Just like, you know, let's say you're a $28 average buy-in guy and you decide to just hood register a 1K. Like, that's gonna take a big dip on your ROI as well, you know what I mean? So I'll take an even closer look at but yeah, look at that. $22,000 with a $28 ABI. God, your boy's sick. Your boy's sick. That's not just from one score, that's from several scores. I mean, your guys, you gotta give you guys some credit. He knows a little bit about what he's doing. It's not like I just binked one tournament and now boom, look at this. We've been binking. If you isolate it to separate it to each specific site, it gets more ridiculous. Watch. WPN, I have a 1,500% ROI in October. I don't know how they calculate the ROI when you win a free roll like this one. It's such an obscure, such a rare free roll. Or like, look at this, 1,000% ROI on Party Poker with the real name account. But hey, as far as small fields go, look at this. 45% ROI. So that's not playing the 100K guarantees. These are all from the 1K guarantees, 3K guarantees, little like $700 hypers, 1.5K guarantee, 3K guarantee. See, I'm still getting like first, second, third place finishes in all our small field MTTs. So like, I'm realizing some value here quite nicely. It's not like we're just completely sun running and running above expectation. Like, a lot of those sessions in between the grinds were still like really healthy sessions. You know, I some of you guys have heard this and some of you might not have, but you know, a big thing for me that I've been talking about the last 2 months in particular is after a huge win. So for me, a huge win is 100x the buy-in or more. I try and work on my winner's tilt. So for me in particular, and this is not for every poker player, but I've noticed this for me, when I win one of those big tournaments, the next day I want to like up my average buy-in, I want to up my volume, I want to keep the momentum going, right? Because like, oh, we're running good, we better keep this hot streak going. And this like high level of expectation is set upon myself, and the next session always ends up going awful. I always end up having a huge losing day. I get super tilted, and I never end up having the session that I want after a big win. And like I said, it's because of the expectation that I've set for myself. So moving forward, and I started this at the end of summer, beginning of fall, when I have one of those big wins, I'm going to possibly take the day off the next day. Totally be okay with that, knowing full well that doesn't ruin any momentum. It just sets, puts me in a settled kind of mood. Just really slows things down, puts things in perspective for me. And if I do feel up to playing the next day, I lower my average buy-in by not a lot, let's say 20%. So I maybe just cut out some of the 44s and a couple of the 33s or something. I'll lower the average buy-in. I lower my volume. So instead of playing 10 tables at a time, I'll play 6 to 8 tables at a time. And I'll cut my session short. So instead of maybe registering tournaments for 5 hours, I'll register tournaments only for 3 hours. And then that in and of itself becomes a mindset change for me, where I don't have these high expectations set for the next day. And it's really been a huge, huge, huge game changer for maintaining healthy swings moving forward. And we saw that when you guys looked at my my spreadsheet earlier. So obviously we still had a few like big losing days there, but the winner's tilt situation has really been settled really, really healthily. So I'm super, super stoked about that. And I'm going to keep doing that moving forward. Like, like I said, we made 22K in October. I am not going to change my average buy-in really at all. Sundays, I might tweak it. You know, I think Sundays are totally fine. Add a few more 109s, a few more 55s, that kind of a thing. But like, I don't even know if I'm going to play 55 5Ks on a weekday, you know, even though I could afford to at this point. I think I'm just going to, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I might play a few less $5 MTTs, a couple less $11 MTTs. But like, man, we're working at such a healthy clip here with the average buy-in we have. Like, there's no need for me to increase the variance by playing tougher games, just because I can afford it. So, do you just not bother trying on GG? Stop playing on GG is what that breakout says to me. Yeah, our big losing site is GG. I haven't had a losing month, or sorry, I haven't had a winning month on GG since June or July. If you look at a lot of good regs who are winning on other sites, look at their GG account, and you'll see that a lot of them are not doing that great on GG. Big reason is because on top of the fact that they have probably the worst structures, they have unlimited re-entries. And that's the difference between GG and Global. Like Global Online, this is probably the worst month I've had since joining it in July. I've been destroying Global. But the reason why let me show you my all-time graph on Global, because they have terrible structures as well, but there's a big difference between Global and GG, despite both having awful structures. So this is my graph on Global since July when I started on that site. I'm plus 10K with a 60% ROI and 900 games. A little bit of break-even stretch towards the end here, but the reason why I do so much better there and then do so awful here, despite the fact that like the player pools are like kind of similar in skill, I'd say they're definitely fishier on Global. They're definitely softer on Global, but like it's still pretty fucking soft. I'm pretty game selective with what I play on GG. Let's exit that out. Sorry, that's the Global graph. It's, you know, I'm pretty game selective, and it's still pretty damn soft over on GG. Is that they have unlimited reentries. So that in and of itself just like creates a lot more swings. Global, a lot of their games are either one reentry or just a total freeze out. And that really, really plays to my advantage. When you even have like the soft games that have unlimited reentries, that benefits a lot of regs. Or if it doesn't benefit the reg from the stance of like variance, it really bites them in the ass because of how many reentries they have to fire off. So it's a really, really tilting site, despite the fact that like, you know, there should be like the EV is there. It's a brutal site. So I've been like very slowly just taking out more and more games. And I'm going to continue doing that to the point that, you know, what I would want is for GG to be responsible for like less than 10% of my volume. That's kind of the way I'm feeling lately. Let me see here. So last month it was pretty equal. So that's not good. Let's say like I'm averaging 100 games per month per site. I would like to average 50 games per month on GG, I think. So maybe just Sundays and a few turbos scattered here and there, I think. So I'm going to work on that. I think that's a big goal that I should have to work on for November. Just play less GG. Because at this point, the proof is in the pudding. Like, I've had one winning month on that site since starting this challenge. I'm just on the bad side of variance, but those swings are just like too brutal compared to how much we're like really, really doing well on every other site, really. This is just that GG is a tougher field. No, it's not a tougher field. It's fairly soft. Like, I would say GG is softer than Pokerstars. For sure, softer than Pokerstars. It's that it has unlimited reentries, long late registrations, and really swingy structures. The structures out of, let's pick ACR, Pokerstars, Party Poker, and GG. Those are like the main four, the major four poker sites. GG definitely has like the worst structures. 100%. So when you add poor structures, which means big blind jumps and unlimited reentries during late registration, you have yourself very expensive sessions. So this is my graph since, it says here June 4th. So not great. Not great at all. Just super swingy. Super swingy. I went on a sun run the first month. I finished first in the daily Big 20 like twice or something. Yeah. But I've been struggling ever since. We had some close calls for sure. And I'm not going to completely quit playing on this site. But it's just nasty. Swing as hell. Bear in mind, it's only 700 games. But still, I'm playing enough. I'm playing the type of games right now where like these types of swings, even over this sample, shouldn't really exist. Like I'm playing $20 700 guarantees. I'm playing $33 1.5K guarantees. I'm playing, you know, $10 1K guarantees. Right? That's why like you look at my other sites and I'm doing so well there. Look at them again. So stars, I'm down 40 buy-ins, it's whatever. But like the rest of the sites, I'm doing really, really well. 40% ROI, 60% ROI, you know? I mean, 200% ROI, that's very skewed, obviously. But like I'm doing really, really well. It's because of my game selection. I'm picking really small fields with solid structures, with good hourlies that don't take forever to play. But then all of a sudden on GG, I just can't I can't win for shit, right? It's because, you know, like on Party Poker is another good example. They cap their games to one re-entry. Even their big fields, they cap them to one re-entry. Their structures are probably the best out of all the major sites. And even when late registration is done, like the last level of late registration is still like 30 big blinds deep or something. You know, when on GG, you get unlimited re-entries, and the last level of late registration is generally like 10 big blinds. You invite swings. You just invite swings. Are you gonna add any more sites? You've said something about Chico Poker before. Yeah, I'm gonna add Chico Poker. I'm gonna add a Canadian site called playnow.com. And I'm gonna add probably some 888 as well. Apparently the hotkeys aren't working on 888, so I'm gonna wait for them to do some software updates first. And I can't stand their software. I think their software is probably the worst out there right now, which is saying something. But yeah, this month I'm gonna probably add those 3 sites. I think that's generally what I look at. Let's look at the group as a whole. Let's do over the last month. So I can't remember if we looked at this, but here's my whole graph. All sites combined since June of this year. We've played 4,000 games, 80% ROI, 27K we've made so far over a 5-month time span. That's all right. I mean, what is that, 5,400 a month? That's pretty good. Pretty damn good. Obviously, like a big upswing at the end here, but look at this trajectory. I mean, this is since, well, this is October, but yeah, I mean, like we're moving in a nice direction here. The 80% ROI. I'm stupid with how they calculate the ROI here. Obviously, this looks weird because average profit is $6 on a $20 average buy-in. The average ROI is 80%. That's super skewed because of how much of a sun run we've had in October. I expect this to even out or average out a lot more over the next 8 weeks, unless we go on another sun run or something. But let's take a look at the stats real quick. Oh yeah, no, we want to look at October. I just want to look at October. Well, we can compare the two, actually. Probably useful. So in October, our average entry tournament was about 600 people. That's a bit too high. That's a bit too high. I think I was pretty good about keeping to my average buy-in after big wins, but I was definitely a lot more lenient on playing bigger fields because it was just easier to handle for my bankroll. I was still pretty disciplined about it. Like, on a weekday, If I wanted to play a big field MTT, it had to be like a special major. You know, there's a PKO series going on Party Poker. There's a PKO series going on GG, that kind of a thing. And it's kind of crazy how much your average entry can be skewed when you play like one big field MTT in the day. So that's probably where a lot of this comes from. And then of course, I don't avoid the majors on Sundays. I don't think it's worth it. We got to play the Sunday majors. They're just so good. They're so juicy. And you know, we've been running pretty good in them for the last 6 months. So like, why wouldn't I keep going, right? Definitely gonna make that lower. Our total average entry tournaments since the beginning of June has been 500. That's a lot better. We want to keep it below 500. If I can get it below 300, that's even better. But honestly, like I don't have an issue playing an $11 100K, you know? And so like if it stays at 500, that's fine. This is a huge improvement. I remember when we started this challenge, I think my average field size was 1600. So we've made really big strides here and done well for ourselves. In the money percentage is 24%. That's really nice. It's really good. I want it to be around 25%. So we're a little bit below that, but that's great. The closer we can get to 30% in the money percentage, the better, which is super tough. I'll admit that's really tough. There's some, you know, ICM style poker that's kind of tough to adjust to leading up to a money bubble. So it's going to be hard to get to 30%, but I still think, you know, it's good to try, right? And be happy if we fall short of that. You know, if I can fall between 25 and 30, I'll be happy each month. So that means we're actually making pretty decent money, I think. 52 final tables we had in October. That's crazy. Your boy's doing something right. Like I said, we ain't just sun running, dude. Game selection. You know, it's not like I had 3 final tables and just banked them or something. You know, we're hitting those FTs, man. We're hitting them. Early finishes. 8%. Pretty high. So I'm punting early still. I think I want to keep that 5% and below if I can. Late finishes. 12%. Pretty low. So there's something going on there as well. I'll have to figure that out with my coach, I guess. Let's look at like the whole challenge as a complete thing here. Total in the money, 22%. So a little bit on the low side. Not happy about that. This is going to be skewed because I think the first 3 months I had some really big leaks that I didn't work very well on, but you know, the more volume we put in, the better picture we're going to have, right? So we can figure that out. Early finishes, 10%, so really high. At least in October, and I think in September as well, our early finishes were lower than this. So that's good. Like we're making a step in the right direction. But yeah, it looks like there's a long stretch there where we were just punting super early. So something to continue to keep in mind and continue to chip away at, and see how far we can make it in November. Late finishes 11%. So yeah, not the best. All right, we'll take a quick look at our PT4 stats for the month. Want to take a huge grain of salt when looking at these stats. They aren't the be all and end all. They don't completely define how your play is going because they don't account for different factors like bubble ICM, like final table ICM, like final 3 table ICM, like, you know, final table bubble ICM. Like all of those things will change your game where you're playing, you know, less aggressive, more nitty, you know, maybe more aggressive in other spots, you know. So it's not like a true indicator, but it is nice to look at just to kind of see where we stand in certain aspects, and we're just going to take a quick glance at it. So this is for October. Our all-in adjusted BB100, our EV BB100 was 6. We'll round it up. And we were winning at 11. So definitely running super high above EV. Let's take a look at our graph real quick. Okay, the graph doesn't matter. The graph was just fun to look at. But yeah, we're you know, we ran really good. It's been a long time since I've put in 50K hands and seen this big of a difference. But that's poker. That's what's supposed to happen. If you're playing well, you're supposed to have some good months where you really get to profit off of it. So I have no problem with this, obviously. Nothing to be embarrassed about. I still want to give myself a pat on the back for having a solid winning win rate. You know, like we're doing well. Just want to look at a couple of, see if there's any like leaks in some of the basic aspects of our game. We're not going to go super deep into some of the more specific stuff, but like raise first in, you know, it's nice to get close to 50% on the button. 46 is pretty good. Once again, like it's hard to get 50%, especially when you're, you know, 15 big blinds deep, or, you know, your final 3 tables, or right, there's a million things. But the fact that we still got to get close to that despite the fact that I did have 50 final tables means that like our aggression factor is doing pretty damn well. Aggression frequency is nice. 36% on the cutoff is decent. You know, the closer we can get to 40, the better. So that's a step in the right direction. MP, that's pretty aggro. I'm fine. You know, for me, I'd rather be more aggro than too nitty, so this is fine. 20% in EP is super aggro. That's fine. 30% in the small blind seems good. I think it's an improvement. I think we were at like 20% the month before, maybe in August. So that's good. I definitely have made more of an effort to open more blind versus blind. I think the population tends, especially at these stakes, tends to super under defend in the big blind, whether that means that they don't 3-bet enough or they don't flat enough or both. And for a lot of people, it's both. So that's good. I wanted to look at my limp raise. Ooh, limp raise is super low in the small blind. That's not good at all. I wanted to get it up to 20%. Because last month was 15. It looks like we went the opposite direction. Once again, another grain of salt. A fifth of my volume is on global online, which does not track hands, by the way. So this is probably more like, you know, 60 or 65k hands, which does actually make a difference when it's this low of a volume. 15k hands can actually like completely change all your stats. So that's why I say we got to take this with a huge grain of salt too, right? So. G Burko, thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. Welcome, man. Appreciate it. Oh, I missed a comment here by Philbot. It's pretty cool to see your determination paying off. Been following you since the early YouTube days. Know you struggled on and off and went broke once and stuff. This recent coach seems to have been a serious catalyst in your success, along with your will to succeed. Congrats. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I appreciate that. And thank you again, G Burko, for the Twitch Prime sub. So yeah, limp raise, blind versus blind is really bad. Which also means if our limp raise is bad, then our limp fold is probably pretty bad, because we can use some of those limp folds to our advantage, turn them into bluffs instead of limp folds, which would be a lot more useful, you know, especially considering people give you way too much credit on a limp raise. Because the population is so nitty on their limp raises, right? So like even with a reg, I could still limp raise and get away with it a lot more often, because they just know that a lot of the population just kind of limp jams. Like I've noticed that the population, good or bad, even with regs, they just kind of limp raise when they have an ace. That's it. That's all they do. They just limp raise an ace. When like you can do it with King 5 off, you can do it with Jack 7 off, you can do it with, you know, Deuce 5 suited, you can do it with 7-3 suited. Like there's some dope hands to be doing it with and really make people's lives difficult. And I definitely have a problem with that. I've seen regs have a problem with that. Recreationals definitely have a problem with that. So we're really missing out on a lot of opportunities here with the limp raise and the limp fold. So if we can get the limp raise up to 20%, get the limp fold down to 35, I think that would make our win rate, that's already doing well, go up even more. Limp call probably seems fine. 3-bet pre-flop. What's the difference between, yeah, okay. 3-bet pre-flop, 10%, really low. It's like a pip higher than it was a month ago, but that's kind of what happens over small samples, right? We're not going to take it too seriously, so not great. Really low from every position. The place that I care the least about 3-betting is in early position, because those edges are so small considering the ranges that like it's whatever. It's the late position 3-bets and the blinds 3-bets that are pretty bad. 3-bet steal, it's an improvement. 3-bet steal is 18%. That's an improvement. That's an improvement for sure. Still needs to be more. Definitely need to 3-bet more from the big blind. Fold to steal at 77 or 76% in the small blind. That is, sorry, let me that is really high. That feels really high. I thought I've been flatting more too. I felt like I've been flatting more from there, but I guess I'm wrong. Given that you mostly play full ring, I would say 10% 3-bet is decent. No, absolutely not. We're not playing, I am playing hyper exploitative. Hyper exploitative here. I want to be a 3-betting punter versus these recreationals because we're taking advantage of the fact that these guys are not playing even remotely close to equilibrium. If I thought the populations I was playing against were calling or 4-betting correctly versus my 3-bets, I would agree with you. We're not playing a 50, 60, 80, $100 ABI. We're playing a $20 ABI. We're playing against guys who 4-bet ace, king, and aces and flat king, queen suited and fold, 8-7 suited and ace-5 suited and king, queen off and jack-10 suited. They fold these hands. So I want to punish them for that. So no, I completely disagree. 3-bet needs to be higher. We have every right to 3-bet higher because everybody else is too much of a nit. That's why I'm playing these lower average buy-ins, right? I can make $10 per game at a $20 average buy-in by looking like a fish, but having a rhyme to my reason, a method to my madness. Versus people who have no idea what GTO means, have no idea what an equilibrium is, have no idea what a Nash chart is. They're just playing their hand, and we are playing the man. So that's why I'm looking at these stats, and I'm telling you to take them all with a grain of salt, especially considering your guys' average buy-in might be different than mine. Your guys' strategies based on your average buy-in are going to be different than mine. But this is what I'm striving for based off of the games that I'm playing. Fold big blind to small blind. I'm not sure what the number is supposed to look like here. It seems reasonable though, 45%. Once again, the population is pretty tight with their opens, blind versus blind. So if I'm a little bit on the tight side myself, I don't mind this too much. C-bet, 70%, fantastic. 80% on the button, fantastic. I'd say that's about right. It's on the high end, but I'm totally fine with it being on the high end. We could look at some of the other ones. I'm not going to worry too much about them. I want to look at check raise flop. Check raise flop. Almost 20%. Fantastic. Once again, check raise flop is really high. If we're going to, be talking, balanced play, this would be too high. I'm not looking to play a balanced play versus these guys. I'm looking to have a obscenely high check raise versus dudes who do not defend properly versus check raises. That 70% C-bet is IP only? No, I don't think so. I think it's 70% C-bet in total. C-bet in position is 86%. And C-bet out of position is 50%. Which seems reasonable. Probably could be higher. It shows here that in EP and MP, I'm not C-betting a lot out of position, which this seems really low. These numbers seem really, really low. That's something I got to work on. So yeah, check raise flop is good. This is exactly where I want it to be. I want it to be high. I want to make people's lives difficult. I find that this is one of the best exploits in low stakes poker, is having an obscenely high check raise. These guys have no idea what they're doing on check raises, and they really start to react super honestly. You check raise flop, bet small on the turn. These dudes, they just have no idea what to do. Not even the regs. They have no idea what they're supposed to do because they just run into it so infrequently. Because this is what generally happens. A player check raises flop and then bets huge on the turn. Then they just basically, when a player does that, they go, okay, I have it, right? And then if the person is half smart in position, they just snap fold the turn. I check raise, and then I bet tiny, like 20%, 25% on the turn with my entire range. The nuts, the bluffs, all of them. And these guys panic. They panic so much, dude. They either call too much, they raise too much, or they fold too much. Any of the three is good for me. I don't care. And then the river becomes the easiest decision on the planet. And you know what I often do? I check. And whether I have the nuts or I have complete air, they kind of react positively in the way that I need them to react. And you can sometimes on the right board textures just fire off 3 streets and these guys snap fold the river. Then if you have the nuts, just check it. You could do that too. And these guys will punt in you because they think that you're representing weakness with the small bet on the turn, despite the fact that you check raise the flop. And it's just like, okay, life is easy. These guys get so confused. They confuse themselves, and I simplify it. Yeah, okay. So I just wanted to compare it really quick to stats on the whole challenge. Let's just take a quick, even quicker glance. On the whole challenge stats. Okay, so this is my whole hand sample since we started this challenge on June 1st. So 293k hands is a really healthy hand sample. Really, really good. Even if we exclude the, you know, probably 100,000 hands that we have on Global Online. So this will give us a really good idea of where we stand here. So our raise first in is really solid. Really, really solid. I want to be aggro, so this is all really good. Small blind kind of seems legit. Something to notice here. We're running slightly above our EV, but this is pretty standard, I would say. Whether it's above 6 or below 6 within, you know, big blind and a half is pretty damn good. So it's not like we're hardcore sun running. We're doing pretty well. What does limp raise look like over 300,000 hands? Just abysmally small. Like really, really scared poker. Which means our limp fold is way too high. So something to bear in mind there. 3-bet pre-flop is a little bit higher than it was in October. But I want it to be higher. 3-bet steal in the blinds is on the low side. Not abysmally low, but it's low. Fold to steal, definitely too high. Fold big blind to small blind, once again, like I said before, like reasonable. C-bet flop, 70%. High on the button. High in the cutoff, that's good. C-bet in position is 83%. C-bet flop, or C-bet out of position is 55. So still a little low over the large sample. Looks like our out of position play is where we're like not quite aggressive enough. That's tough. It's tough to play. Excuse me. It's tough to play out of position. And what was the other one? Check raise. Check raise flop. 19% over 300k. Beautiful. Fantastic. What was the other stat we looked at before? I think that was it. Oh, probe turn. That actually would have been a good one to look at from last month. So we're probing pretty high, which is good. I want to attack people's checkbacks. It's great. That's good for me, especially on flops that like favor my range. We really get to take a lot of pots down that way. I think that's all I want to look at for now. We could obviously like go deeper into these, but I'm not fully familiar with like what are good numbers for some of these stats, so I don't want to like spew a bunch of nonsense that I don't know. But I mean, when we look at the greater picture at these 300k hands, we're really like, these are solid stats. These are such a huge improvement to the previous 6 months. They truly are. I think I had like 4 big blinds the previous 6 months. EVBB. So we've made huge strides here. Moved some stats up in a big way. I definitely know that I had below 40% raise first in on the button, which is such a huge stat to have be loose and aggressive. Because it's the most valuable spot at the table. It's the spot at the table where you're supposed to make the most money, right? I think, don't quote me on this, but I think 29 EVBB 100 on the button is actually kind of on the low side. So there's still a lot to be done here, but step in the right direction. Our win rate in the blinds are just fucking beautiful. I can't quite remember what it is. I think in the small blind, you want to be as far away you can as from 50 BB 100. No, you want to be as far away as you can from 25 BB 100. And the big blind, you want to be as far away as you can from 50 BB 100, I think. Or maybe it's 50 and 100. Regardless, the way I think about it is I just try and get as close as I can to 0. So in the small blind, the fact that we're at this number over a large sample is just like so good. It's so big. Probably just need to get these late position numbers. 62.5 and 112.5. Okay, thank you. That's what you want to steer away from. So you want to get away as much as you can from minus 62.5 in the small, and as far away as you can from minus 112. So we're just like light years behind. We're like light years ahead of that, because the theory, like in the small blind and big blind, you're giving up a big blind before you even start the hand, right? So you're already losing before you even start the hand. So the odds of you having like a positive win rate over a large sample in the blinds is like really, really tough without you being an absolute just destroyer. But the fact that we're like that far away from where we need to be is really, really good. Closer to 0, the better. And we're like really close to that. Over a 300,000 hand sample is like so good. So, but it definitely looks like my late position play needs work. Like I think that win rate can be a lot better in late position. Okay, last but not least, before we start playing poker, I'll give you guys an idea of where the challenge stands. A notepad file here. We made just a little shy of 23,000, or sorry, we just made a little over 22,000 in poker in October. Made $2,000 from ACR. So for those of you guys who don't know, I'm part of the ACR Stormers program. They pay me based off of my watch time. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, that's an hour watched per viewer. So if we have 100 viewers watching right now and they watch for an hour, that's 100 hours of watch time that goes towards my channel. And it's a tiered system. I think the lowest tier, you get paid $50 in a month for I don't even know how much. And then their top tier, it's capped at $3,000 payment. And that's if I hit 10,000 hours of watch time. I hit the second best level, which was, I had to get over 7,500 and they would give me 2,250. Part of that is I try and get new first-time depositors onto my site, onto ACR, I should say, through my promo code. And I have to invest a little bit of money to do that. So I give new players $25 on their first-time deposits. And if they reach $25 in rake, then I get a $125 bonus. So I got 13 new signups this month, which ended up being, what is that, $375, I think, if I'm doing math correctly. But only got $125 bonus. So it cost me a little bit to get new first time deposit signups. And that's why you don't see $2,250 there. You see $2,050. But November could change. All of a sudden I could get like 4 people who make enough rake to give me those bonuses, right? So it's not that big of a deal. Obviously I want to try and get 10,000 hours of watch time every month so that I can make the maximum payout from ACR. But, you know, in October, I went to Vancouver twice to look for apartments, and then I had to help out my family with looking after their new puppy, and then I had to move, and then, you know, just a lot of stuff happened. I think I only streamed for like 90 hours this month, which is pretty low for me. That's like a third less than what I normally stream, so just couldn't reach that 10,000 hours that I needed to. But still, 7,500 hours of watch time is still pretty damn good for those kind of hours with my average viewership, so I appreciate that, guys. Great way of supporting my stream. For those regulars, I'm sorry for sounding like a broken record, but for those of you guys who aren't familiar, if you want to support my stream and not give me money, you know, not sub, not donate or anything like that, that's totally fine. A great way to support my stream is to just watch my stream on. Even if you want to watch somebody else, just keep me muted. It still counts as a view, and that goes towards my watch time average and gives me an even better chance of hitting 10,000 hours of watch time each month. So really easy, really, really easy. So that's our income. A little bit off of Twitch. I never make a lot off of Twitch. I think I make maybe average 3,000 a year off Twitch. Where I make money from streaming is sponsorship opportunities, right? And I lost $600 from betting on sports, which is nothing crazy. My average unit that I bet is about $75 right now. However, I got tilted and bet on Charles Oliveira to win versus my friend, who was so annoying with his religious love for Islam Makhachev. And he's not a Muslim, so I don't mean religious in that way. I mean, he thinks Islam Makhachev is the second coming of, you know, whatever religious deity you worship. So, and it pissed me off. that he wrote off Charles so much that I was like, fine, I'll bet 500 bucks on Charles. He was like, fine. So that's where a majority of my sports losses came from this month. Or else we'd be only down 80 bucks, but well, is what it is. So the total is 23,700 bucks. My expenses were pretty cheap, about little shy of 1,500 bucks US this month. So that's pretty good. We won't be seeing this for a while. Well, maybe we will, actually. And I'll cover that soon. There's a little twist here at the end of this challenge on the month. But anyway, regardless, with the expenses, we're at 22.2K. Pretty damn nice. That's a damn good October. Challenge. So what we were in the positive plus our month profit puts us at $32,000 and $709. Sorry, $32,709.06. Pretty awesome. Amazing. I mean, this is what we wanted in the last challenge, right? To see this type of steady progress. We're still a little bit behind pace because we're basically at the halfway mark, but man, I'm really, really happy with where we stand right now. We are only ever so slightly behind pace. It is fantastic. Really, really, really good. I'm so happy. So thank you everybody for your support. The journey has been super fun. This is some of the most enjoyable streaming I've done, I think, out of my entire career. Like, there was a time between, I would say, 2018 and 2020 where every 6 months I was contemplating quitting streaming. I was just like, I don't know if I'm really into it anymore. I don't know if I really care. I wasn't seeing any growth. I was really down on myself. Poker was whatever. I was just like, I don't know, maybe I should just move on to something else. Like, I'm almost 30. Like, nothing's coming of this. And honestly, this year, I really enjoyed streaming. There's been maybe like 2 or 3 days where I was like, oh, I don't feel like streaming. But every day that I've obligated myself to streaming, I've looked forward to it. It's been a lot of fun. It's been so much fun doing this challenge and learning how to approach poker in a different way. And seeing your guys' positive responses to the content that I'm creating has been a big help towards that. And I see myself continuing to stream moving forward. I've definitely had this revelation over the last year about, being 32. You're on the you're on the back nine of your youth, and being like, am I wasting my time here? And I realized that, like, I have a small viewership, but I'm making more money than some streamers who have 3 to 5 times the viewership that I have from poker, from sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. I might not be making the same kind of subs, but I'm doing really, really well overall, and I'm enjoying it. So why should I stop? Who's to say that I should move on to something else when I like doing what I'm doing? And if it's moving in the right direction, and if my confidence is high and all that kind of stuff, like, who cares? So yeah, you guys are gonna continue to see me going at it for the next little while, that's for sure. And as long as my poker continues to improve and the money continues to be healthy, I don't need to be rich. I just need to be feeling good and not worrying where the next rent check's gonna come. Then I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I love poker. I really enjoy streaming. There's no reason for me to stop now. So things are good. Now, quick caveat before we finish this review. You guys see that donation gold bar. It's not up right now, but daily you guys see it. We're gonna put a huge dent out of the gold bar. Surprise! We're gonna take 5,400 Canadian off the challenge, so it's not actually 32K. So with this rental, because of my profession and most people not liking that I don't have a bi-weekly paycheck to prove my income, I told them I would pay 3 months rent up front, and then I'll do that again at the 3-month mark. I'll give them another 3 months rent up front. So that's what I did, and looks like in USD that's just a little shy of 4K. So I took that off the challenge. So we're going to actually start November with the challenge bar being at 28K. which I'm sure is going to get a lot of questions from people being like, whoa, I noticed you were at 33K last week and now you're at 28K. What happened? Yada, yada. But I actually really like this from a mental standpoint. This is going to be really, really nice because you know what's going to happen? At the end of November, when we're accounting for our expenses and taking it off of the goal bar and everything, my expenses are going to be super small because rent is like the biggest part of your monthly expenses. And we won't have to account for that. So I like the idea of just having the 3 months rent taken off the goal bar straight away. And then that way we just got normal daily life expenses to calculate for our monthly reviews. So that's where November is going to start at, is $28,711.93. Boom. There's the little surprise. Normally we go over goals. I haven't written anything, but I'm going to keep kind of the same type of goals that we've had previous months. 15 minutes of exercise per day. I actually got a gym membership yesterday, so I'd obviously like to do a lot more. There's a gym just like a few blocks down the road from me, so I'm definitely going to get back in the gym for the first time in years. You know, gonna try not to do takeout on grind days. Today I'm doing takeout just because I had my landlord helping me like reinstall a dishwasher and stuff, so I didn't have any time to do cooking today. But I'm gonna do takeout today, and then after that on grind days I'm gonna try not to do any takeout. 40 pages of reading per day. Definitely gonna work super hard on that. I got so many books to read. Those are the big personal ones. I got some like little mini goals that I want to do, like you know, go to some social events, like make a new friend, that kind of like thing that I'm not like super committed to, but I'm gonna try just for fun, just to kind of get myself out there a little bit out of my comfort zone. Nothing too intense. And then for poker goals, we're gonna try and keep our average field size to 500. We're going to what was the big one? We wanted to raise our limp raise percentage and lower our limp fold percentage. Those are going to be really, really big. And we're going to try and work on our early finishes being like below 8% early game, and have our in the money percentage be higher. And I think honestly those like kind of correlate, you know. If we can build stacks in a more healthy way early in the game, then we'll end up in the money more often, right? So like having those two work for each other, I think would be really, really good. Those are the big ones. I think those are all good goals. Simple, achievable, not over the top, and help like towards better quality of life and quality of poker. So that's what we got going on for November, and I'm gonna try and keep a little bit of a semi-journal about it, keep track of it. Not for you guys to look at, just for my own personal self. But yeah, there we go. There is the review in a nutshell, chat. GG. I'm gonna answer some questions here, catch up with the chat, and then we'll start playing poker we'll do a mini session today. We'll do like, you know, 3 or 4 hours of registering.